Let it roll. You guys know how it goes. With the win, we let the music roll. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into another Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. I am your host, Rob Paytan. Join with me are my two co-hosts. No. Justin's giving me the single. He needs a second. Justin will join us shortly. But right now, these are my two other co-hosts, Brendon Cox, Zach Hohenberg, a.k.a. the Celtics fan page. Guys, the Celtics tonight, they continue their dominant start to the season, going up 2-0 on the year with a 122-102 win in the nation's capital. Jaylen Brown tonight was the leading scorer for the Boston Celtics, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Guys, not too much surprise here in tonight's game, although I will say it started a little surprising as the Celtics obviously were victim of an early Jordan Poole kind of entourage of threes we saw there. It was a masterclass from Poole. He had 17 in that first quarter, guys. Now, obviously the Celtics were able to turn around, but I kind of wanted to start. You guys know the deal. Initial thoughts, takeaways, and how we just thought tonight's game against Washington went.
Well, I'll start off with saying I still think that the Detroit Pistons are significantly better than the Washington Wizards. So Xavier, that has not changed since last year. So we'll start off with that. I want to say Jordan Poole definitely looked sharp tonight for the Wizards. Definitely punched the Celtics in the mouth to open up. I think there was a little bit of some adversity coming in. It was their home opener, their season opener, but I thought the Celtics responded particularly well. A little slow start. I thought they were getting great looks offensively. Sluggish on the defensive end in the first half, but really picked up in that third quarter. Really liked what I saw. And hey, second game of the year, and you get to essentially rest your starters for the entire fourth quarter. Use it as another preseason game, and on to Detroit on when? Not tomorrow, right?
Saturday.
So just a great win. Celtics clearly better than the Detroit Pistons. We all knew that. They took care of business here. Clearly better than the Washington Wizards. They showed that here tonight with a 20-point win.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought it was, like Justin just said, too, defense was mediocre at best, too. That's what I was saying in the group chat, too, earlier. Tough to guard Jordan Poole in the first half. He's done significantly well in just one game. Last year he wasn't really doing so hot with Washington, but I feel like he's trying to step up a little bit, though. It was tough to guard him tonight, obviously, but I want to see more defensively in the backcourt.
Yeah, I think you guys kind of covered all of it. Let's see. I don't know if I really have anything to critique. I thought Tatum's shot selection at times was a bit questionable, but obviously he's got his improved jumper. I think he was 3 of 12 from 3, though.
Right.
But, it's the Washington Wizards. You can kind of mess around as much as you want when you're up 30. So I wouldn't look too much into that. I don't know. Not really too much to critique. I thought they went out and handled their business in a game that could have been a trap game. It kind of looked like it might be a trap game after the first quarter, but, the last 3 quarters, I think it was a 55-22 run at one point. So overall, 9 out of 10 night.
Joe Mazzulla's law of averages were on display because they died down, especially Jordan Poole. I want to say he had 17 of their team's 31 first quarter points. He was just a flamethrower, 5 of 6 from behind the arc. It was just, he came out firing on all cylinders. I agree though, Zach, not too much to critique. However, I will mention something that Brendon said that I do think is worth talking about if we're going to critique anything. Because I saw it in the Knicks game, and I'm kind of seeing a little bit here tonight. So the Boston's coming out the gate a little sloppy defensively, guarding the perimeter and keeping guys out of the paint. And tonight, I think you saw that Boston wasn't shooting the ball at a 60% clip from behind the arc. So I think you saw Washington kind of take advantage of that. They eventually cleaned things up, and Mazzulla was great with the timeouts, obviously. That hasn't been a problem. So, I liked what I saw coming out of the gate, especially in that third quarter. I thought defensively they really, really stepped it up along with that second. We talked about Jason Tatum tonight. However, he was not able to grab his second player spotlight. Guys, tonight, your SeatGeek player of the game is Jaylen Brown. Guys, the NBA season and the Boston Celtics are finally back, and we are super excited to be partnering up with SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best ticketing app there is out there on the market. Guys, when you use SeatGeek, use $20 off your first purchase. Use code Celtics Weekly at checkout. Guys, it's the perfect time to get back into the garden with the regular season here. But guess what? SeatGeek, they do way more than just that. Live events, concerts, they have it all, guys. Again, code Celtics Weekly, excuse me, at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Guys, tonight, Jaylen Brown, player of the game, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 10 of 20 from the floor, 50% from both the floor and behind the arc. Now, personally, I love what I saw out of Jaylen Brown in terms of controlling and committing the offense there, and that little stint he had with the second unit in the second half of the third, and quickly in that fourth quarter. Justin, what did Jaylen Brown do tonight that made him so effective?
I just think Jaylen Brown's his confidence is just through the roof, and he's playing like it as well. I love how aggressive he's been playing. When he dips his shoulders down, he puts his head down and he gets to the basket. It totally just opens up the game for the Celtics when Jaylen Brown is ultra aggressive. And Rob, you mentioned something. If you wanted to critique something on Jaylen Brown, you talk about his free throw shooting. His free throw shooting was solid tonight.
Right.
I love how he was able to create space. He's showboating. I think there's a little bit cockiness in Jaylen Brown and his game, and rightfully so, coming off an Eastern Conference Finals MVP, coming off an NBA Finals MVP, as well as being he felt like he got shorted off the Team USA gold medal team. So Jaylen Brown, I feel like is playing with that chip on his shoulder as well, and trying to prove that he is one of the best players in the NBA, and he did that here tonight. Just absolutely took care of business against Washington, specifically, as you mentioned, when the Celtics were pulling away in that third quarter.
I want to say Jaylen Brown, and we talked a little bit about it on the podcast that came out today. He is just turned into Mr. Reliable. And that's something, if you told me 2 years ago, I'd call you crazy that Jaylen Brown is Mr. Reliable on this team. He did a great job of getting to the basket, and I thought that benefited Boston really, really well in a game where the shot really wasn't necessarily falling from behind the arc. But, Brandon, when you look at the trajectory in which Jaylen Brown's career has kind of been going at, it feels like every year of Jaylen Brown's career, he's just gotten better. What is it this year that you see Jaylen Brown kind of adding to his bag that he, is taking the next step?
His transformation from the offseason can't go off unnoticed either. He put on tons of muscle, but I love how, more intense he's gotten. His aggression does not go unnoticed either. Tonight we saw what he's used to, a lot of just just hard driving in the paint. He got kind of, more 3-pointers out in the end, but just his intensity can't go unnoticed either. But I want to see more defense from him too, because I think that can add on to the aggression and intensity that he brings to this team every night.
Zach, do we feel, and this is something that I've been thinking about, I think recently, especially at the start of the year, is Jaylen Brown, is he like a write-in, like a shoe-in for all-star starter now? Because he hasn't had that nod in his career.
I'll say yeah. I mean, I've always been on the Brown over Brunson train. I know that might be a hot take. But I mean, I think if he continues at this level of play, you talked about the confidence. I thought it was going to be a special Jaylen night when he went around the world in the second quarter, and we were only at 10, and then he screamed at 2 different Wizards right after. I was like, oh, because he started slow, and then right after that, it seems like he kind of took off. So that maybe kind of woke him up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's a shoo-in because there are a decent amount of good guards in the Eastern Conference. You got Trae Young, obviously Jalen Brunson. But if he's in that forward spot, I'll say not a shoo-in, but I think he should be an all-star starter. And it's only the second game, so I'll give it.
It bothers me that you mentioned Trae Young over some other guards. I don't know. We're not going to get into that debate, but that bothers me.
Who else would be there? Guards?
That bothered me. Tyrese?
Oh.
Tyrese over Trae?
Tyrese
over Trae?
Put some
Tyrese
respect on Trae Young's name. Come on now.
Just don't say Damian. Don't say Damian Lillard.
He grew a beard, and we're all gonna just.
Hey,
be a big
don't
Trae Young
listen.
fan?
Trae Young's had some high level playoff moments that Tyrese Maxey, as good as he is, he hasn't had.
Wait. I thought we were talking about Halliburton.
Oh, we're talking Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, give me Trae Young.
No,
Not Damian Lillard though. Do not say Damian
I asked
Lillard
it in the
at
group
all.
chat the other day, and unanimously everybody said.
Actually, Tyrese. Maybe
No,
you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe
That's
you're right.
crazy.
All
All
right,
but the switch up on camera
Yeah,
for
that's
everybody is crazy. That's crazy. That's insane. That's insane.
All right, well, all right. That's enough. That's enough. Tyrese Halliburton versus that's something we can talk about in the podcast. But as for tonight, and I don't think you're wrong. All right, I think you got me there. I thought we were talking Tyrese Maxey, but Halliburton.
Oh, so everybody's
okay.
answer changes now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple.
They both
Tyreses
will make
in
a
the
case.
league.
They both will make a case this year for sure. I'll just say that they'll both make a case, but onto any things. Yeah.
Well, when we talk about all stars, right, with the Celtics team, I think there's a case that this year, because we didn't see it last year, that they have 3, and right now, right through 2 games, the star has been Derek White, and he has taken his game to another level. And last night we saw him with 24 points. Tonight we see him with 19 points, or last game rather. Is there an opportunity, do you guys think, when you think about all-stars and Derek White's name being mentioned, it was there last year with the hype train. Do you think it's a possibility that you see White? And if you do think it's a possibility, what does he need to do in order to get that all-star nod?
Well, I think with Porzingis out, I think that when I was looking at MVP, I'm thinking, oh, Tatum with Porzingis out for the first 2 months, Tatum has a shot to put himself in the conversation by the time it's January or February, because there's so many more touches to go around with Porzingis out. And I think it's the same thing for White in an all-star position. He has more shots. He's going to be seeing the ball more in these next 2 to 3 months before Porzingis comes back. So if he wants to be in the all-star conversation, which he was last year, he's going to have the opportunity to take more shots, have the ball more, stuff like that.
I think there's absolutely the possibility of Derek White being in that conversation for All-Star. If there was conversation about it last year, I don't see there being a reason why he wouldn't be in consideration this year, right?
Right.
What I like about Derek White is this dude's just consistent, right? And the best ability is availability, and I feel like Derek White is just always available, and he's always there. And Rob talks about this all the time. If you're not going to score, what are you going to do? And Derek White does everything, when including scoring. So Derek White being one of the best defensive guards in the entire association. His offense has just improved every year, especially since he came here to Boston. And he's just so comfortable, and he does everything in such fluidity. Like everything he does, he's just so casual about it. And he's everything for the Celtics team. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I'm not just saying this because D. White's my favorite player on the team. I don't know where the Celtics would be without Derek White, without a guy like Derek White. He has really been a top guy here these past 2.5 seasons for the Celtics, and a huge reason why the Celtics have been to 2 finals and made that Eastern Conference Finals comeback against the Miami Heat. Derek White is a crucial piece here, especially if we want to start talking about creating a dynasty. He's a huge piece to this.
I think when you look at this team and who benefited the most from Kristaps Porzingis coming into Boston, I think the correct answer is Derek White. And as much as you saw Brown improve, and as much as you've seen Tatum improve his game, Derek White, the season prior he was coming off the bench, right? And the year before that, he was an 8-9 point per game scorer for us with a struggling jump shot. With Kristaps coming in, I think the game has just opened up for Derek, and he's gained this just immense confidence boost. His shot has become fluid. He's, like Justin said, he's the ultimate, just consistent. Every given night, he can have a bad shooting game, but that doesn't mean he's having a bad game. And I think that's so, if you know me, you know how important I think that is in the NBA. You need to be be giving me something else, whether it's, scoring or defense or playmaking or whatever it is, energy, hustle. You got to give me something else. And Derek White gives that to me. So I don't know about you, Brendon, but I also agree. I think it's a possibility you see Derek White in the All-Star game.
No doubt about it too. I don't see any lack of consistency with his game at all. Every night obviously he's not going to be playing great every night than most guys, but like when the time is right for that time to shine, like, on Tuesday and then tonight, those games that he has like tonight and Tuesday, like he's proven to be like definitely like guaranteed like star on this team. And there's no doubt that I see him making the All-Star game this year. So I know it's only 2 games in, but he has proven a case that he can do this for sure.
It's like you can't game plan for him. And he's gotten to a point where he's a caliber of player where he needs to be on the game plan. And it's like with this team, what makes them so special is, you can't, because if you do, you have to worry about 4 other all-stars, right? Not just caliber players, all-stars, right? These guys have all at some point in time in their career been on the all-star team. And that is very difficult. And that's what makes this team so good. So, it's definitely going to be something to keep track of. And I'm excited to see if it comes to fruition this year, because I think there's a real shot it does.
He has been so important to the Celtics in close games down the stretch. And I understand that we haven't gotten many of those here in the last year or so. But Derek White is one of the clutchest players in the league. And I mean, dead serious when I say that. Like, go look at his percentage in the clutch, 5-point game, under 5 minutes left. Like, Derek White's up there. And I can't believe there was a time where Derek White was sitting on the bench in the fourth quarters. I can't believe, like, I just can't believe it. And I know, circumstances were certainly different back then, but I still, I can't fathom Derek White being on the bench come a pivotal fourth quarter moment down the stretch against a team like New York or Philadelphia or Milwaukee. So Derek White has just been so good. And also, I feel as if Derek White is like the dream crusher. Like, I tune into these Miami Heat fan streams, these Dallas Maverick fan streams, and it's just guys reacting to like Derek. It's like, oh, Derek White, of course, a wide open jump shot. It's like, and they're hitting their desk. It's like this friggin' Derek White guy. Like, he's just turned into that guy who just crushes everybody's dreams, and he's just been everything and more for this Celtics team.
Game 6 game winner back in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Can't go unnoticed with that one.
I mean, it's just crazy that, just to think 2 years ago, he was coming off the bench, and like Justin said, he wasn't even getting time. He wasn't getting burned at the end of games. And last year he no doubt about it. He was our clutchest player. No doubt about it. I will put my finger on Derek White, and he was, maybe Drew Holiday in terms of what the defensive plays he made, right? And Brown too. Brown's up there. There's a lot
Derek
of clutch
White
guys,
could
but
be the new Iguodala. Like, give me Derek White. Give me Derek White.
Yeah, fate of the universe on the line. Give me Derek White. No, but like it's true. And like, I'm not even talking about like final play of the game, right? I'm not talking like I'm talking like 7 minutes on, crunch time, game's close. Teams bound to come back. Derek White stops the bleeding, I feel like, every single time, and that's huge. So
think of that game 4 against Indiana. That, talk about the steal and everything, and then look at in the corner. Look who sealed the deal in that series. It was Derek White in that corner who essentially got the series clinching shot. So he's just always there, and he just continues to be there every game, no matter the circumstance. So, whether it's a big 3-pointer in the clutch or a huge block at the rim, rejecting a 7-footer, Derek White he's the man.
It doesn't feel like he gets talked about enough on this show. I feel like we never talk about Derek White.
No, well, that's why I put him in the graphic, because I feel like Derek White should be in everything that we could possibly put him in. But it's true. Like, this guy is just like he's like a jack of all trades, and he does everything on both ends of the floor. And people hate playing against Derek White, but they don't hate Derek White. Like, Derek White is like the most like when Derek White got punched at that Colorado game, there were like Laker fans sticking up from like, who hates Derek White? Like, how could you just hate Derek White? Like
Right.
you hate him if he hits
no,
a
he
three
is.
against you, but like other than that, you're like, it's Derek White. I like him. You know,
It still kind of makes you smile. Yeah, no, I get
right,
that.
right.
Well, I do want to talk about someone else tonight because they're definitely worth noting. Neemias Queta. He was big time for the Celtics tonight. 12 points, 7 rebounds in 13 minutes, just under 14 minutes of playing time. And guys, I said this in the group chat. It felt like Boston came out of the gate, right? Couldn't hold guys off the line, and they were getting inside a lot. And then here comes Queta, and it kind of felt like he fixed everything that the Celtics were kind of lacking with the interior presence down low. And I know he didn't have any defensive stats, but it felt like his presence as a 7-footer was used, and he was very efficient at scoring. He was a great lob threat coming off the pick and roll. So what did we think of Neemias Queta and how he was kind of able to kind of carve out a role for himself tonight?
What I saw was that couldn't go unnoticed too. He had a lot of offensive rebounds, which helped us a lot too. Getting those second chance points. That for me was something that I really noticed that was very beneficial for his performance tonight. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point. He led the team in offensive rebounds. 4 of his 7 rebounds were offensive. Just creating those second chance opportunities, and I think that's what really separates the Celtics from other teams is when they are hitting the glass on the offensive end. They're able to kick it out, and they get a great look from deep with that, or they can just reset the offense. But Neemias Queta was phenomenal tonight. Near double-double in just 13 minutes, 12 and 7, 5 of 7 from the field. Had a 3-pointer, didn't make it, but he shot one, which was pretty cool to see. But solid game from Queta, and you're going to need to see that, right, guys? Because we talk about the potential of not seeing Kristaps Porzingis until Christmas. You see Xavier Tillman, you see Luke Cornett, Al Horford. You get all these different mixtures of centers in there. So when Queta gets the opportunity, he did a phenomenal job tonight.
I'll also add, I'm of the opinion that Al Horford needs to play as little as possible up until the playoffs.
Yeah.
You get nights like tonight where you get valuable minutes from Cornette and Xavier and Queta, and Al Horford only plays 20 minutes.
Right.
That's good. So if you can get Queta as a third reliable center and play Tillman and Cornette in the starting position and just have Al play maybe 40 to 45 games this season until we get to the postseason, I think that sets Horford up for success in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I love that point. I think that like the kind of unique thing about what we're seeing out of Boston's kind of trifecta of big men off the bench, they kind of have a guy for every play style. And tonight it wasn't Cornette's night. It was just kind of obvious. Washington was quick. Their bigs were explosive. They're athletic, right? They can play off. They can play on the perimeter. It just kind of felt like it wasn't Cornette's night. And Mazzulla kind of turns and he's like, all right, let's go Neemias tonight and some Tillman, which is a little bit more, Queta's a little bit longer. He's a little bit more athletic. He's a little bit more, versatile in terms of getting out and a little bit guarding and putting more pressure on teams' perimeter defense. And Joe, and again, just a testament to how good Joe Mazzulla has become, because that is something he doesn't get down 2 years ago. So credit to Joe in that aspect. He noticed that quick. And it's pretty special that Boston has that luxury, I feel like, guys, where they kind of got like their big men aren't big names outside of Kristaps, right? Al looked a little old tonight, right? He looked a little pedestrian out there, but off the bench, they were able to piece together a great bench big man core, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, you get these minutes from Xavier Tillman. He played 15 and Queta with 13. It's like, I am so obsessed with how Joe uses these centers. And I in our preseason preview podcast, a few podcast episodes ago, I said, like, Celtics centers are like Power Rangers. Like, they each have their own power, right? Xavier Tillman comes in tonight and, undersized physical big man. He's able to really space out the floor, and he hit a couple of huge 3-pointers, wide open, obviously, but just that ability to stretch the floor and space the floor for the Celtics. And when they do double team a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, it's Xavier Tillman in the corner who's wide open, who will almost guaranteed knock it down if we're going off his preseason and regular season numbers so far. So I'm really, really interested to see how Joe continues to handle this. Now, we do have to note that pretty soon when back-to-backs hit the schedule, which I don't think we have any in the month of October. I don't know when our first back-to-back is November 1st and 2nd, excuse me, against Charlotte. So you're guaranteed to miss Horford for one of those two games. So I'm really interested to see how Joe will work these big men into the rotation more. And absolutely. I think each center has their opportunity here. Look at Keita, right? Keita converted from a two-way contract to a standard deal. They see something in Keita. Keita comes out here, second game of the season, and drops almost a double-double off the bench. He's ready when his number's called. So definitely credit to the Celtics big men here.
Let me ask you guys this. Obviously, probably until Christmas, no Kristaps. Like Justin just said, second night's a back-to-back, whether it's the second or first night, one of those games, Horford's not going to be there. Do we think Kornet's the shoe-in for the starting center spot, or do you think that's up for grabs right now?
At this point, I just think it's anybody's game. I mean, I
think so.
My hot take is that I think like Joe might just change it up like every couple games. Like it might be Kornet one night, it might be Tillman. It could be Keita. I don't know who it's going to be. They could just stick with one guy. I could be wrong, but at the same time, like Justin was saying, I think like, each of those centers have like their own little like kind of standard ability to give us what they want. So
depends on the matchup. I hate to sound like it really depends on the matchup. If the Celtics want to go small, they'll throw Tillman in there. If the Celtics want to go with some longevity, they have between Kornet and Keita. I do think that's the luxury you have when you're coming off a championship. And Rob, you and I have talked about this, how Joe kind of last year when he was throwing some random lineups in, we're like, okay, what's going on here? Well, now he has the ability to kind of fluctuate with different lineups. And you have a 2-game mini series coming up here in a couple of weeks against the Hornets. I'm sorry, no offense to the Charlotte Hornets. That's a perfect opportunity for the Celtics to figure out what kind of they want to go with, matchup wise. Right. And, I think if you're going to ask me, I think, if we're not going to do matchup wise, I'm thinking that Joe would lean more towards Luke Kornet, as we saw him a lot in the preseason in that starting role. Mm-hmm. But I do think for the most part, if we're being realistic, I do think it will be matchup wise.
Although I will say something, I was surprised, right? Because we say this, and I said that last post-game show, right? Where I'm excited to see what the rotation looks like. Yeah. With Washington coming up, it wasn't different. Even with Hauser out, it was just he then switched from a 9-man to an 8-man. So, which is like, it's interesting because, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't hate that, right? Play the top 8 guys. They're there for a reason. And I think what the luxury that this team has is Joe kind of knows, like, all right, if I play my top 8 guys in a normal full-blown rotation against a team like Washington and Charlotte, I only have to play them 28, 25, 30 minutes against guys like this. There's not going to be many games this year where they're going to be in close games. There's going to be a couple, right, when you're close games against teams like this, but not many. So do we like that kind of that aspect Joe's bringing to the table where he's running his normal rotation against bad teams? He's not like inserting Jordan Walsh for a run, or do we kind of want to see that?
I love it. Punch the enemy in the mouth. Right. This is a full 82-game season. This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint, but at the same time, guess what? There's been instances in recent years where the Celtics haven't taken care of business against teams like Washington and Detroit and Charlotte. So I absolutely think that it's huge that you take every game with a grain of salt and you go in and you dominate. And guess what? You go into that, you go into halftime up comfortably. You come out, you start the third quarter like you started tonight. The first 5-6 minutes usually of the third quarter will determine kind of the rest of the game, what the flow is like, right? The Celtics really took advantage of the first 6 minutes. They turned a 10-point game into a 30-point game. And guess what? The G Leaguers came in and played nearly the entire fourth quarter. So I think that's the approach that you have to take when you're the Boston Celtics. You come in against this team, against Detroit and Charlotte and Washington, punch them in the mouth, then give guys like Al Horford, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown their well-deserved rest come fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, I wouldn't mind seeing in some of these games a 10th man in there, or because so I mean, I guess not, right? Because the thought is here with Porzingis back, you have a strong 10 man, which again for the playoffs you only go 8. You run an 8 man with the idea that you have 2 extra guys on there that are plug and play guys. Where if something goes wrong in the playoffs matchup wise, you got 2 guys that are dynamic and kind of versatile. And I think you have that with Tillman and with Neemias. But I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Walsh in there because I will say, obviously when the roster thins out throughout the course of the year with injuries in terms of like tonight, you didn't have Hauser, the wing depth is really not there. And I get it's the same rotation, same lineup, and they won it last year without a problem. But, it is a thought where it's like it wouldn't be a bad idea, I don't think, to give Walsh some burn with the starters, and maybe that comes later down in the road. But again, I mean, I don't hate it, right? I don't hate it. It's just like I think that's an interesting thing to note this year is, okay, who's going to be that backup out behind Hauser? Who's going to be that backup wing? Is it going to be Shireman or is it going to be Walsh or, you never know. And so I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it's not going to be Shireman.
No, I know. I said that to see if I could get a reaction out of you.
I thought tonight would have been actually like since Hauser was out to give Walsh some time, but I mean he came in at the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean I think there's still plenty of time left. Yeah, yep.
It's so funny that you mentioned like you would have thought that Walsh would have gotten reps because I thought that as well. But I also thought like watching the game, especially come second quarter, I think Tillman was in or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell has changed? Like Hauser's out, but we're running the same rotation. Like who the hell has gone in for Hauser? Like what is
that mid-season Tillman pickup? They're now using him kind of as a forward. Right. They're using him at that 4 spot.
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was just they didn't replace Hauser. They just extended Tillman's minutes, and the Celtics rolled with a bigger lineup.
And I don't want, and this is good because I don't. Tillman had a good game tonight. 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Right, good solid game for Tillman off the bench. Tillman is the definition of a guy that he's always doing something, right? He might not be scoring, but I promise you, he's a guy that the box score hates him. The box sheets do not like Tillman because he's such an impact player, but it doesn't always show up on the box score. So, tonight I thought Tillman would talk about plug and play, right? There's going to be nights this season where you don't see Tillman. And there's going to be some nights where Tillman, is getting like 27, 30 minutes a game. And sometimes it's going to be playing that stretch big 4. And sometimes it's going to be playing that switchable 5 when they need him off the perimeter defense. So, Tillman for me, guys, I don't know what you guys think, but I think Tillman is his value in that mid-season pickup from Brad. I think that's really going to start to show as the season progresses.
Absolutely. I think when you get down, so here's my thing, right? I feel like you have the replace. So if you want to go and look at like Porzingis, right? Porzingis is out. I kind of look at Luke Cornett to be his kind of B. You know what I mean? Like if you're not getting Porzingis, you're getting Luke Cornett, who plays that high post free throw line, really solid pick and roll player. You take Al Horford out, you get Xavier Tillman, right? Not the biggest center, but at the same time, he could space the floor really well and still give you a very solid presence down low, very aggressive presence down low. Right. So I think what the Celtics have right now is honestly, I would say their best big man depth and their best big man rotation in a very long time. I agree with that. I think so. And it's funny because I was watching a podcast the other day, and this was the offseason the Celtics had gone to the championship, right? Or the off season before we went to the championship. And the Celtics picked up Enes Freedom. They also picked up Al Horford, right?
And there was word right there.
And there was another center. I don't know who we had at the time. I don't know if it was Tyson.
No? Oh, that was a mid-season. But
anyway, we thought we had such a very solid. Like we thought we had this is the best front court in the league, like the best depth in the league. And it's like now we look at the center depth that we have, And it's like those guys would absolutely destroy what we had.
Well, yeah, because it was Robert Williams, Al Horford, and Ennis Freedom. That was the big three.
And we thought we were set forever. We thought it was just like the greatest thing in the world. We thought Ennis Freedom was the answer. And
sometimes the grass is greener on the other side.
That's right.
So
don't listen to Jason Tatum. That's right.
Sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. Well, as for the grass tonight, guys, it was all green as the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Washington Wizards in the nation's capital, 122-102. Guys, Jaylen Brown was tonight's player spotlight. SeatGeek player of the game. Happy
birthday.
Oh my, what am I doing? I didn't even mention that. What is he, 28? 28 today?
28 years young.
28 years young. He's just getting better.
Fun.
That's what they say. So, guys, again, the Celtics will face off against the Detroit Pistons this Saturday, October 26th. Tip-off there is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Guys, they're doing these early starts now, and I'm loving it.
I love it.
I'm loving it.
I love it. It's not even 10:30 right now here on the East Coast. Like it's like
I know
it's 8 o'clock starts. Love it.
Oh my! It makes that 30 minutes makes all the difference. It makes all the difference in the world, and because it's really 40 minutes because it starts whatever. But again, the Celtics they're going to be playing the Detroit Pistons, guys. Another easy kind of game here, but again, Detroit they look.
Trust me, it's not. It's not Detroit. It's not. The Pistons always play the Celtics tough. It's a gritty team. I can't take it. This is not the Washington Wizards that we're playing here on Saturday night. Okay, this is the Detroit Pistons. These guys, they might be my league pass team this year.
Good.
I watched them against Indiana last night. They were friggin' so fun to watch. They fell apart at the end.
It was a close game. Yeah, I saw that.
Harris is a great veteran, but like he sucks at shooting. So I don't know like why he kept shooting down the clutch. But like Cade Cunningham is tough. He's gonna have a huge year coming off an injury. I'm excited for this Pistons game. Stop saying it's going to be an easy game. That's when we get friggin' smacked by 30. All right? It's not going to be no easy game. It's not going to be no easy game.
All right. Celtics are going into Detroit looking for a hard-fought battle here against the Detroit Pistons on October 26th at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Guys, after that final buzzer sounds, come right back here to the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel for what is going to be yet another Celtics Talk Weekly post-game show. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rob. To the right of me is my boy Brendon, and below me are my two guys, Justin and Zach. Guys, again, if you're not already following us on social media, all the links are down below in the description. Below, I already said that. Thank you so much, guys, and as always, go Celtics.
Good night.
TNT still sucks.